This week's Parsha, Parsha Bo, is one step before we have our actual freedom, which is next week's Parsha when we physically in Bashalach leave Egypt. However, this week's Parsha Bo to me is the real work. This is the real type of exodus, emotional and spiritual exodus that is needed to happen before a physical exodus can take place. So the Parsha opens up with God commanding the Jewish people to start counting the new moons, and says this month will be to you a new month, right? Which is the mitzvah of Rosh Chodesh, where when we start to see the crescent moon kind of come back, we start to say this is a new month, and then we count, until it almost disappears, and we start to count it again. And there's this big question: why is it that we start the Torah, like the first law that we're given when we're still in Egypt, when we're still slaves, is Rosh Chodesh? There are so many other laws we could have. I mean, hello, Shabbat's so important. I'm shocked that God didn't say, I'm going to give you Shabbat. Here's the Sabbath. Why Rosh Chodesh? Why is the new moon and the month being for the Jewish people so important? Now, really, it's what does the new moon represent? It's time. They didn't have an Apple Watch or a calendar, and wasn't accounting for daylight savings. These slaves which were the Jews, had no watches, had no clocks. Their time was not based on nature, wasn't based on God. It was based on the slave owners, right? So if a slave owner says, wake up now, eat now, work now, rest now, your time, your life is in somebody else's hands. And God's saying to the Jewish people, I can save you next week. I can pull you out. I can take you out of Egypt. But you have to emotionally, mentally be free here before you can physically be free. And freedom starts with controlling your time, because those who control their time control their destiny. You're saying, time is in my control right now. And that's what God's doing. He's giving us back our concept of time. It's something that's so hard to understand or comprehend because we take it for granted. But time is everything. And how we see our time, how we use our time, is the difference between somebody's success and somebody's failure. And the Jewish people had to be free mentally, control their time before they left Egypt. Now, the night before they left Egypt, they had their Korban Pesach, the sacrificial lamb, with the maror, with the matzah, right? So it wasn't like they experienced freedom or like the Passover Seder that we experienced after they left. The night before they left Egypt, the night that God was going through and smiting the firstborns, the Jewish people were free up here. They're saying, we control our time. We decide to do this tonight. We decide to make this meal and to eat this meal before we're physically out of Egypt. We're eating matzah, we're eating maror, we're having the Korban Pesach, we're eating the god of Egypt, which was one of the gods was the lambs. We are freeing our minds before we are freeing our bodies. And I think that's real freedom. And in life, God's teaching us the biggest lesson, that you could think that money is going to change you, a new job is going to change you, a new love interest or person, or surgery, or a new location, or a new everything. But that can only really happen if you've already changed on the inside. Otherwise, you're going to continue to be the same person with the same struggles, maybe in a new position with a new person next to you, but it's not actually going to change your life. Freedom and control start from within. We have to imagine ourselves free before we can actually have real freedom. And in life, whatever it is that you really want, imagine it now. Don't wait. You control your time. You control your mindset. Imagine today what you want. Imagine today that you have it. That's where self-confidence comes in. That's where self-esteem is born. That's where you actually create the guts, the grit to go after what you want. And then when you physically have what it is you want, you appreciate it because it's already happening inside. The outside's just the extra. It's just now it's all falling into place. And I think that this is why God did it this way. This is why we start with Rosh Chodesh. This is why we start with time. This is why we start with emotional freedom before we have physical freedom. Time is the most precious currency we have. Don't blow it. Don't wait for someone to tell you what to do. Don't wait for something big to happen. Create that big moment in your mind today. And then tomorrow, when you have that thing that you want, you're already going to be feeling it, breathing it, and living it. And that, my friends, is true freedom. Shabbat shalom.